participated in the Passover, and today especially, not just the old Passover, but the new Passover, the Passover of the Lord Jesus Christ, the night before he died. Let us pray this month for the grace of God to help us to continue to be faithful, to continue to practice our faith, even at this time when we are at home. May the Lord, who is giving himself up at this time for our salvation, help us to remain faithful. To prepare ourselves worthily to celebrate these sacred mysteries, let us now call to mind our sins. I confess to Almighty God and to you, my brothers and sisters, that I have greatly sinned in my thoughts and in my words, in what I have done, in what I have failed to do, through my fault, through my most grievous fault. Therefore I ask, Blessed Mary, ever Virgin, all the angels and saints, and you, my brothers and sisters, to pray for me to the Lord our God. May Almighty God have mercy on us, may forgive us all our sins, and bring us to everlasting life. Lord, have mercy. Christ, have mercy. Lord, have mercy. Glory to God in the highest, and on earth peace to people of good will. We praise you, we bless you, we adore you, we glorify you, we give you thanks for your great glory. Lord God, heavenly King, O God, Almighty Father, Lord Jesus Christ, only begotten Son, Lord God, Lamb of God, Son of the Father, you take away the sins of the world. Have mercy on us. You take away the sins of the world. Receive our prayer. You are seated at the right hand of the Father. Have mercy on us. For you alone are the Holy One. You alone are the Lord. You alone are the Most High, Jesus Christ, with the Holy Spirit, in the glory of God, the Father. Amen. Let us pray. O God, who have called us to participate in this most sacred supper, in which your only begotten Son, man about to hand himself over to death, entrusted to the church a sacrifice new for all eternity, the banquet of his love. Grant, we pray, that you may draw from so great a mystery the fullness of charity and of life. We ask in the true Lord Jesus Christ, your Son, who lives and reigns with you in the unity of the Holy Spirit, one God, forever and ever. Amen.
A reading from the book of Exodus. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, "This month shall stand at the head of your calendar. You shall reckon it the first month of the year. Then the whole community of Israel, on the 10th of this month, every one of your families must procure for itself a lamb, one apiece for each household. If a family is too small for a whole lamb, it shall join the nearest household in procuring one, and shall share in the lamb in proportion to the number of persons who partake of it. The lamb must be a year-old male and without blemish. until the 14th day of this month, and then, with the whole assembly of Israel present, it shall be slaughtered during the evening twilight. They shall take some of his blood and apply it to the 2 doorposts and the lintel of every house in which they partake of the lamb. That same night they shall eat its roasted flesh with unleavened bread and bitter herbs. This is how you are to eat it: with your loins girt, sandals on your feet, and your staff in hand. You shall eat like those who are in flight. It is the Passover of the Lord. For on this same night I will go through Egypt, striking down every firstborn of the land, both man and beast, and executing judgment on all the gods of Egypt. I, the Lord. But the blood will mark the houses where you are. Seeing the blood, I will pass over you. Thus, when I strike the land of Egypt, no destructive blows will come upon you. This day shall be a memorable feast for you, which all your generations shall celebrate with pilgrimage to the Lord as a perpetual institution. The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. Responsorial Psalm. Our blessing cup is a communion with the blood of Christ. Our blessing cup is a communion with the blood of Christ. How shall I make a return to the Lord for all the good he has done for me? The cup of salvation I will take up, and I will call upon the name of the Lord. Our blessed cup is a communion with the blood of Christ. Precious in the eyes of the Lord is the death of his faithful ones. I am your servant, the son of your handmaid. You have loosed my bonds. Our blessed cup is a communion with the blood of Christ. To you I will offer sacrifices of thanksgiving, and I will call upon your name to the Lord. My vows to the Lord I will pray in the presence of all his people. Our blessed cup is a communion with the blood of Christ. A reading from the first letter of St. Paul to the Corinthians. Brothers and sisters, I received from the Lord what I also handed on to you, that the Lord Jesus, on the night he was handed over, took bread, and after he had given thanks, broke it and said, "This is my body that is for you. Do this in remembrance of me." In the same way also the cup after supper, saying, "This cup is the new covenant in my blood. Do this as often as you drink it in remembrance of me. For as often as you eat this bread and drink the cup, you proclaim the death of the Lord until he comes." The word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
Praise and honor to you, Lord Jesus Christ. I give you a new commandment, says the Lord. Love one another as I have loved you. Praise and honor to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John. Before the feast of Passover, Jesus knew that his hour had come his own in the world, and he loved them to the end. The devil had already induced Judas, son of Simon the Iscariot, to hand him. So during supper, fully aware that the Father had put everything into his power, and that he had come from God and was returning to God, he rose from supper and took off his outer garments. He took a towel and tied it around his waist. Then he poured water into a basin and began to wash the disciples' feet and dry them with a towel around his waist. He came to Simon Peter, who said to him, "Master, are you going to wash my feet?" Jesus answered and said to him, "What I am doing you do not understand now, but you will understand." Peter said to him, "You will never wash my feet." Jesus answered him, "Unless I wash you, you will have no inheritance." Simon Peter said to him, "Master, then not only my feet, but my hands and my head as well." Jesus said to him, "Whoever has bathed has no need except to have his feet washed, for he is clean all over. So you are clean, but not all." For he knew who would betray him. For this reason he said, "Not all of you are clean." So when he had finished, when he had washed their feet and put his garments back on and reclined at table again, he said to them, "Do you realize what I have done for you? You call me teacher and master, and rightly so, for indeed I am. If I, therefore, the master and teacher, have washed their feet, you ought to wash one another's feet. I have given you a model to follow, so that as I have done for you, you should also do." The Gospel of the Lord. My dear friends, as you watch me from your homes, from your rooms, from your living rooms, or even from your kitchen, as you watch me celebrate on your behalf the Passover of the Lord, even though physically you are not here in church, but I know spiritually you are here with me. You are here participating with me, because this Passover is for all of us. In the first reading from the book of Exodus, God gave Moses and Aaron the instruction on how to eat, how to celebrate the Passover with sheep or goats. For on that night, the good Lord was passing over the land of Egypt and slaughtering all the male child of Egypt, both human beings and animals. And wherever the He will pass over them, and no harm will touch them. In the gospel, Jesus, like a good Jew, like a faithful Jew, joined his people to gather in Jerusalem to celebrate the Passover. But this particular Passover was different both for him and his apostles and disciples, those who followed him. This particular one was different because this is the last time he was going to celebrate this Passover with them. Because on that night, he himself also was passing over. As you can see from the gospel, there was no sheep or goats, because the person to be sacrificed was Jesus himself. He was about to lay down his life for you and I. He was about to hand over himself so that you and I may be free from sin. You and I will be able to call God Abba, Father. You and I will be able to be reconciled with God. On this particular night, he did three things. Three things that we are to do in this service today. He took bread, blessed it, and gave to them, thereby perpetuating himself forever, thereby giving us his body to be celebrated forever. And also, he did the same thing with a cup filled with the wine or the vine. And he gave it to them and told them, as often as you do this in remembrance of me. That's what Paul is saying in the second reading. What he received, he is now handing over to the people. That Jesus, on the night before he suffered, took bread, blessed it, and said to them, "Take, eat, this is my body." He took the glass filled with wine and gave to them, said, "Take, drink. This is the cup of the covenant." The covenant, not the covenant of old, but the new covenant in his blood. As often as you do this, do it in remembrance of me. Therefore, Jesus gave us himself, his body and blood. He gave it to us to celebrate forever. That's what we do in the Eucharist. And also today, on that last Passover with his friends, he gave them the power to continue to celebrate this Passover, this Eucharist. Thereby, he gave them the power of the priesthood. In the same priesthood that me, unworthy and sinful, shares. And thirdly, Jesus did the job of a servant, did the job of a slave. He stooped down and washed the feet of his apostles. And he said to them, "You don't understand what I'm doing now, but after you will do. As I have done to you, you must continue to do for others." My dear friends, as you listen to me from your house, what we celebrate today is a feast of love. That Jesus loved us even to the end. He gave himself for us. Not just on the cross, but also he gave himself for us in the Eucharist. So we can celebrate it always, whenever and willing to wash each other's feet. Because when we come to church to pray, after celebrating the Eucharist, we must go out. We get the strength we need to go out to be of service of charity to our brothers and sisters. We must continue even at this time when we have this lockdown, when we are in our homes. We can't go out as we ought to do. We can't go shopping as we want to do. But still, we must continue to serve each other. The husband must be ready to serve his wife. The wife must be ready to serve the husband. And children must be ready to serve their parents and their grandparents. Be charitable to them. Support them in whatever way they can. That is what service of charity is. Jesus handed over to us this service of charity. And so, my friends, as we come here today to celebrate this love of God in Christ Jesus, that he loved us and loved us to the end. He loved us to the end and left us himself, body and blood. And thereby giving sinful men, unworthy as we are, he gave us the gift of the priesthood. Priests are not angels. Priests are human beings who still live at the side of heaven, who still struggle every day to enter heaven like you. But the only difference that they struggle because of the responsibility they have on behalf of Christ. Their own struggle is greater. Every priest, every day, celebrates this Eucharist, celebrates this sacrifice. And when celebrating it, he's praying not just for himself, but for the church. Even though you are not here this evening, celebrating with me this night, I know you are here. This sacrifice is for you too. That God may guide you and protect you. That God may continue to show his light upon you. That God may continue to use you to continue his ministry of service. That God may give us the grace we need to be ready and willing to serve each other. Let us pray this Mass, that the grace of God may be with us, that we may continue to serve each other. Pray for me too, that unworthy and sinful as I am, God has the church, God through the church has entrusted this sacrifice into my hands, that I celebrate it for you every day. Pray that I may continue to be worthy of what I celebrate, that I may continue to be worthy of what I touch, that I may continue to be worthy of the mysteries I celebrate at the altar. That all of us, when God will call us home, we call us home to continue to celebrate this Eucharist in his kingdom. My dear friends, hang in there. I know what you are going through. I know many of you are sick. Many of you have all kinds of questions in your head. Don't worry. Even this will pass away. Prayers of the faithful. My brothers and sisters, called to the service of God's people, the church, called to the service commit ourselves to a life of service and prayer.
For Francis, our Pope, Michael, our Bishop, Father Ibeh, our Pastor, and all the clergy, that the Lord may bless them and strengthen them in their commitment to serve us in God. We pray to the Lord.
Lord, hear our prayer.
For our worlds, as we struggle for safety and health, may we work together to comfort the sick and spread peace. Let us pray to the Lord.
Lord, hear our prayers.
For those who are fighting illness, for those who are alone and anxious, and for their families who cannot comfort them, may God give us strength, courage, and peace to persevere. We pray to the Lord.
Lord, hear our prayers.
For all seminarians and those pursuing religious life, that the Lord will bless them in their journey, and that God will send more workers into his vineyard. We pray to the Lord.
Lord, hear our prayers.
For researchers to find an effective treatment for the coronavirus, and for a swift end to this pandemic, we pray to the Lord.
Lord, hear our prayers.
For the elect and candidates for full communion, who will enter the church soon, that they may heed the Lord's call to service, we pray to the Lord.
Lord, hear our prayers.
For those who have died, believing in the gift of eternal life, and for the intentions of this Mass, may they know the Lord's love and mercy. We pray to the Lord.
Lord, hear our prayers.
In silence, we pray for our own needs and for the special intentions of others.
Lord, you raise us to new life through our service and love for your people. Strengthen us that we may become your presence in the world, fulfilling your commandment to love one another as you have loved us. We ask thee through Christ our Lord. Blessed are you, Lord God of all creation, for through your goodness we have received the bread we offer you, fruit of the earth and work of human hands. It will become for us the bread of life. Blessed be God forever. By the mystery of this water and wine, may we come to share the divinity of Christ, who humbled himself to share in our humanity. Blessed are you, Lord God of all creation, for through your goodness we have received the wine we offer you, fruit of the vine and work of human hands. It will become for us our spiritual drink. Blessed be God forever. Lord God, we ask you to receive us and be pleased with sacrifice. We offer you with humble and contrite spirit. Lord, wash away my iniquities and cleanse me from all my sins. Pray, my brothers and sisters, that my sacrifice and yours may be acceptable to God, Almighty Father. The prayers of the Lord's name, our good and the Church. Amen. his flesh that was sacrificed for us, we are made strong. And as we drink his blood that was poured out for us, we are washed clean. And so with angels and archangels, with thrones and dominions, and with all the hosts and powers of heaven, we sing the hymn of your glory, as without end we acclaim. Holy, holy, holy Lord. Heaven and earth are full of your glory. Hosanna in the highest. Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Hosanna in the highest. Merciful Father, and petition through Jesus Christ, your Son, our Lord, that you accept and bless these gifts, these offerings, these holy and unblemished sacrifices, which we offer you firstly for your holy Catholic Church. Be pleased to grant her peace, to guard, unite, and govern her throughout the whole world. Together with your servant, Francis our Pope, Michael our Bishop, and all those holding to the truth and the Catholic and Apostolic faith. Remember, Lord, your servants, and all gathered here, whose faith and devotion are known to you alone. For them we offer you this sacrifice of praise, or they offer it for themselves, and for all who are there today, for the redemption of their souls, in hope of health and well-being, and paying their homage to you, their eternal God, living and true. Celebrating the most sacred day on which our Lord Jesus Christ was handed over for our sake, and in communion with those whose memory we venerate, especially the glorious ever Virgin Mary, Mother of our God and Lord Jesus Christ, and blessed Joseph our spouse, your blessed apostles and martyrs, Peter and Paul, Andrew, James, John, Thomas, James, Philip, Bartholomew, Matthew, Simon and Jude, Linus, Cletus, Clement, Sixtus, Colliers, Cyprian, Loris, Christogonus, John and Paul, Cosmos and Damian, and all your saints, we ask that through their merits and prayers, in all things, we may be defended by your protecting help, through Christ our Lord. Therefore, Lord, we pray, graciously accept this oblation of our sons, that by your whole family, which we make to you, as we observe the day on which our Lord Jesus Christ handed on the mysteries of his body and blood for his disciples to celebrate. Order our days in your peace, and command that we may be delivered from eternal damnation, and counted among the flock of those you have chosen. Through Christ our Lord. Be pleased, O Lord, we pray, to bless, acknowledge, and approve this offering in every respect. Make it spiritual and acceptable, so that it may become for us the body and blood of your most beloved Son, our Lord, Jesus Christ. On the day before he was to suffer, for our salvation and the salvation of all, that is, today, he took bread in his holy and venerable hands, and with eyes raised to heaven, to you, O God, his almighty Father, giving you thanks, he said a blessing, broke the bread, and gave it to his disciples, saying, "Take this, all of you, and eat of it. For this is my body, which will be given up for you. In a similar way, when supper was ended, he took this precious chalice in his holy and venerable hands, and once more, giving you thanks, he said a blessing and gave the chalice to the disciples, saying, "Take this, all of you, and drink from it. For this is the chalice of my blood, the blood of the new and eternal covenant, which will be poured out for you and for many, for the forgiveness of sins. Do this in memory of me." The mystery of faith. We proclaim your death, Lord, and profess your resurrection until you come again. Therefore, Lord, as we celebrate the memorial of the blessed passion, the resurrection from the dead, and the glorious ascension into heaven of Christ, your Son, our Lord, we, your servants and your holy people, offer to your glorious majesty from the gifts that you have given us, this pure victim, this holy victim, this spotless victim, the holy bread of eternal life, and the chalice of everlasting salvation. Be pleased to look upon these offerings with a serene and kindly countenance, and accept them as once you were pleased to accept the gifts of Ibeh the just, the sacrifice of Abraham, our father, in faith, and the offering of your holy priest, Melchizedek, a holy sacrifice, a spotless victim. In humble prayer, we ask you, Almighty God, command that these gifts be borne by the hands of your holy angel to your altar in heaven, in the sight of your divine majesty, so that all of us who through this participation at the altar receive the most holy body and blood of your Son, and filled with every grace and heavenly blessing through Christ our Lord. Remember also, Lord, your servants who have gone before us with the gift of faith and rest in the sleep of Christ. Grant them, O Lord, we pray, and all who sleep in Christ, a place of refreshment, light, and peace through Christ our Lord. To us also, your servants, who though sinners, hope in your abundant mercies, graciously grant some share and fellowship with your holy apostles and martyrs, with John the Baptist, Stephen, Matthias, Barnabas, Ignatius, Alexander, Marcellinus, Peter, Felicity, Perpetua, Agatha, Lucy, Agnes, Cecilia, and Anastasia, and all your saints. Admit us, we beseech you, into their company, and weighing our merits, but granting us your pardon, through Christ our Lord, through whom you continue to make all these good things, O Lord, and sanctify them, fill them with life, bless them, and bestow them upon us. Through him, and with him, and in him, O God, Almighty Father, in the unity of the Holy Spirit, all glory and honor is yours, forever and ever. Amen. My dear friends, Jesus Christ taught us to call God our Father, and so we have the courage to say, Our Father, who art in heaven, holy be your name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from all evil. Deliver us, Lord, we pray, from every evil. Graciously grant peace in our days, that by the help of your mercy, we may be always free from sin and safe from all distress and anxiety, as we await the blessed hope in the coming of our Savior, Jesus Christ. For the kingdom, the power, and the glory are yours now and forever. Lord Jesus Christ, who said to your apostles, peace I leave you, my peace I give you. Look not on our individual sins, but on the faith of your church, and graciously grant her peace and unity in accordance with your will. You who live and reign forever and ever. The peace of the Lord be with you always. And let us now offer each other the sign of Christ, please.
Lamb of God, take away the sins of the world.
Have mercy on us. Lamb of God, who take away the sins of the world, have mercy on us. Lamb of God, who take away the sins of the world, grant us peace. Behold the Lamb of God. Behold him who takes away the sins of the world. Blessed are those called to the supper of the Lamb. Lord, I'm not worthy that you should enter under my roof, but only say the word, and my soul shall be healed. Since all of you watching me this evening